All right, so are you ready to go back to Hogwarts? Because today we're diving deep into Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince.
Oh yeah, this one's a game changer.
Big time. Like Voldemort's officially back, nobody can deny it anymore, and everything just feels, well, darker, more intense.
Definitely. There's a real sense of dread hanging over everything. Like, the war is actually happening now. It's not just a possibility.
Exactly, and you could really feel that shift, both at Hogwarts and out in the wider wizarding world.
Right. Everyone's on edge, alliances are being tested, and nobody knows who to trust.
Well, except maybe Dumbledore. He always seems to have a plan, even when things look bleak.
True, but even Dumbledore seems to be struggling this time around. He knows something big is coming, something even he might not be prepared for.
Which is a scary thought. I mean, if Dumbledore's worried, then everyone should be.
No kidding.
So for this deep dive, we've got some key excerpts from Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince that we're going to really dig into. We'll be focusing on the major plot points, the character arcs, and all the juicy details that make this book so captivating.
Sounds good to me. I'm ready to dive in.
Me too. And one of the things I'm really excited to unpack is that whole Snape situation. I mean, where do his loyalties really lie? He's such a complex character, and this book just adds another layer of mystery.
Oh, absolutely. Snape's always been an enigma, but in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince, we see a whole new side of him. His actions, his motivations, everything is up for debate.
Right, like that scene with Narcissa Malfoy, Draco's mom. Remember, she goes to Snape totally desperate to protect her son because she knows Voldemort's assigned him some super dangerous mission.
Oh, yeah. That scene is intense. You can feel Narcissa's fear, her absolute terror about what might happen to Draco.
And then she makes Snape swear that unbreakable vow, that magical contract where if he breaks his promise, he dies.
I know, right? Talk about high stakes. The fact that Snape agrees to such a binding vow, well, it makes you question everything.
For sure. Is he truly a Death Eater? Or is there something deeper going on? Is he working for Dumbledore in secret? We just don't know for sure.
Exactly. It's one of the biggest mysteries in the book, and it keeps you guessing right up until the very end.
Then we have Dumbledore, who's up to his usual tricks, whisking Harry away from the Dursleys. But before they head back to Hogwarts, Dumbledore has a very specific detour in mind.
Oh yeah, the whole Horace Slughorn situation. Dumbledore's on a recruitment drive, and Slughorn is his prime target.
But Slughorn's not exactly eager to get back in the game, is he? He's all about staying comfortable, avoiding danger, keeping his head down.
I mean, can you blame him? Things are getting pretty intense in the wizarding world. Who wants to be in the middle of that?
But Dumbledore knows that Slughorn holds crucial information, right? Not just about potions, but about Voldemort himself, back when he was just Tom Riddle, a student at Hogwarts.
Those memories Slughorn has, those glimpses into Voldemort's past, they're like pieces of a puzzle that Dumbledore's trying to solve. He needs to understand how Tom Riddle became Lord Voldemort, what makes him tick, what his weaknesses might be.
And that's where those pensive scenes come in. Talk about an incredible way to delve into someone's past, to literally see the world through their eyes.
Whoa, those pensive moments are some of the most powerful scenes in the entire book. You're not just reading about Voldemort's history, you're experiencing it firsthand.
Exactly. It's like you're right there with young Tom Riddle, witnessing his transformation into this dark, powerful wizard.
And it gives you such valuable insight into his motivations. You see how his childhood shaped him, how his hunger for power grew, how his fear of death became an obsession.
It's both fascinating and chilling to see how all those pieces came together to create Lord Voldemort.
For sure. And for Harry, those pensive dives are more than just history lessons. They're like a crash course in understanding his enemy. He needs that knowledge, that insight into Voldemort's psyche, if he's gonna have any chance of defeating him.
It's like Dumbledore is giving him the ultimate weapon. Knowledge.
Precisely. It's not just about spells and potions. It's about understanding the mind of your enemy, anticipating their moves, and finding ways to outmaneuver them.
Now, while all this darkness and danger is swirling around, Harry's also navigating the typical ups and downs of teenage life. I mean, he's 16, he's dealing with grief over Sirius, and now he's got all these confusing romantic feelings to sort out.
Oh yeah, poor Harry. Puberty and a war, what a combination.
Yeah, it's a lot to handle. We've got the whole Ron, Lavender, Hermione love triangle going on, and Harry's trying to figure out his own feelings for Ginny. It's like a soap opera unfolding in the middle of a battle for the wizarding world.
It's actually quite interesting how J.K. Rowling weaves those teenage dramas into the larger narrative. It's like, even in the face of all this darkness and danger, life goes on. People still fall in love, they still experience heartbreak, they still have to deal with the everyday messiness of relationships.
Right. And it's a reminder that even when the world feels like it's falling apart, those small moments of joy, connection, and even heartbreak, they can be acts of defiance against the darkness. They're proof that life goes on, that hope persists, even in the face of adversity.
Well said. It's that resilience of the human spirit that really shines through in this book, even when things get really dark.
Speaking of dark, did we mention Harry also becomes increasingly suspicious of Draco Malfoy? Something's off about him, something secretive and dangerous, and Harry's determined to figure out what it is.
Oh yeah, Draco's up to something. Those strange disappearances, the whispers and rumors, it's clear he's gotten himself entangled in something bigger than himself.
And it's adding to the overall tension at Hogwarts, right? Everyone's on edge, and the lines between friend and foe are getting blurrier by the day.
Exactly. You don't know who to trust anymore, and that sense of paranoia just adds to the suspense.
For sure. And it all leads to this incredibly intense quest that Harry and Dumbledore embark on. A perilous journey to retrieve what they believe is one of Voldemort's Horcruxes.
A Horcrux, for those who might not remember, is a powerful magical object that contains a fragment of a wizard's soul. Voldemort created several of these to achieve immortality.
Yeah, it's dark magic, but also a brilliant strategy, albeit an evil one.
Right. I mean, who thinks of splitting their soul into pieces and hiding them in random objects?
Only Voldemort, I guess. But anyway, Harry and Dumbledore are convinced they found one of these Horcruxes, and they risk everything to retrieve it.
That quest is a turning point in the book. It's not just about finding a magical object, it's about testing the limits of Harry's courage, his loyalty, and his willingness to sacrifice everything for the greater good.
And it pushes Dumbledore to his limits as well. We see him, once this seemingly invincible wizard, showing signs of weakness, of fatigue. It's heartbreaking to witness.
Yeah, and it foreshadows what's to come, the sacrifices that will have to be made, the battles that will be fought, and the losses that will be endured.
And then comes that devastating confrontation atop the astronomy tower, where all the tension and suspicion finally boil over. Draco, driven to desperation, betrays Dumbledore.
It's a heartbreaking scene because you see how Draco, a young man caught in a web of manipulation and fear, makes choices he might not have made otherwise.
Right. It's like he's been groomed for this, pushed to the edge by Voldemort and his own ambition.
And Dumbledore, vulnerable and weakened, attempts to reason with Draco, to appeal to the good he believes still exists within him. But it's too late.
And then, out of the shadows, steps Snape. The supposed protector, the one we thought was on Dumbledore's side all along. He raises his wand and goes,
The ultimate betrayal. Dumbledore, the most powerful wizard of his time, falls victim to the one person we least expected. It's a moment that shatters everything we thought we knew, leaving us questioning everything and everyone.
It's a huge turning point, not just in the book, but in the entire series.
Yeah.
It's like the world tilts on its axis and nothing will ever be the same.
And it leaves us with so many questions. Why did Snape do it? Was he a Death Eater all along? What does this mean for Harry and the fight against Voldemort?
So many questions. And to make matters even worse, Harry later discovers that the Horcrux they risked everything to retrieve wasn't even the real deal. It was a fake, left with a cryptic note signed R.A.B. It's a devastating blow, adding insult to injury.
It's like a punch to the gut. After all that, after all the sacrifice and pain, they're right back where they started. It's a testament to J.K. Rowling's skill as a writer that she can make you feel so many emotions at once. Grief, anger, confusion, and a sliver of hope that maybe, just maybe, there's still a chance to turn things around.
You hit the nail on the head. That ending, it leaves you feeling utterly devastated, but also fired up for the final book. You need answers, you need resolution, and you're ready to see Harry take on Voldemort no matter the cost.
Exactly. Bring on Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. It's like, Harry could have just stayed at Hogwarts, tried to finish his 7th year, pretended everything was normal, but he doesn't.
No, he doesn't. He chooses the hardest path, the most dangerous one.
Exactly. He knows he can't just sit back and wait for Voldemort to make the next move. He has to be proactive. He has to take the fight to him.
And he's basically on his own, right? I mean, he can't expect Ron and Hermione to just drop everything and follow him on this crazy Horcrux hunt.
True, but that's the thing about true friends. They don't hesitate. They don't question. They just jump right in. Dangers be damned.
They're incredible, really.
Yeah.
Like, Ron could have easily stayed at the Burrow with his family. Hermione could have gone into hiding. but they both choose to stay with Harry to face the unknown.
They know what's at stake, they understand the importance of their mission, and they're not going to let Harry face it alone.
It's that unwavering loyalty, that deep bond of friendship that really shines through in these books.
And it's a powerful weapon against Voldemort, isn't it? I mean, think about it. Voldemort operates from a place of fear, isolation, and distrust. He pushes everyone away, isolates himself, surrounds himself with followers who fear him rather than love him.
While Harry, on the other hand, finds strength in the connections he has. His friends, his mentors, even those he's lost along the way, they all contribute to his inner strength.
It's like that saying, the whole is greater than the sum of its parts. Harry's not just fighting for himself, he's fighting for everyone he loves, for the future of the wizarding world. And that gives him a strength that Voldemort can't even comprehend.
That's a really good point. It's that love, that connection, that ultimately gives Harry the edge.
Right. Voldemort underestimates the power of those bonds, and it's ultimately his downfall.
And let's not forget Ginny. She might not be on the Horcrux hunt with Harry, but her strength, her belief in him, it definitely plays a role. She's like this anchor for him, this reminder of what he's fighting for, of the life he wants to have.
Absolutely. Ginny represents hope, normalcy, a future worth fighting for.
And then you have Slughorn, who starts off all hesitant and reluctant, but ultimately chooses to stand with Dumbledore to fight for the right side.
It's like Harry's courage is contagious. He inspires those around him to be brave, to face their fears, to do what's right, even when it's terrifying.
That's a pretty powerful message, right? That one person's actions, their choices, can have a ripple effect influencing those around them.
Absolutely. It reminds us that we all have the power to make a difference, to inspire others, to be a force for good in the world.
Well said. Now let's circle back to Snape. We left the last part talking about that shocking scene at the astronomy tower where he seemingly betrays Dumbledore. Do you think there's more to the story than meets the eye? Could there be another explanation for his actions?
Honestly, that's the question that has plagued Harry Potter fans for years. It's like J.K. Rowling deliberately crafted Snape as this enigma, this character whose true allegiance remains shrouded in mystery.
And she does it brilliantly. Like, we're given these snippets of information, these hints and clues, but we're never quite sure what to believe. Is Snape truly a Death Eater? Or is he playing some kind of long game, working for Dumbledore from the shadows?
It's a puzzle, and we're left to piece it together. And the thing is, there's evidence to support both sides. He clearly has a history with the dark arts. He's shown cruelty and disdain for Harry. But then you have those moments where he protects Harry, where he seems to be working against Voldemort's interests.
It's so frustrating, but also so intriguing. You can't help but try to analyze every word he says, every action he takes, trying to figure out what his real motive is.
I know, it's like a mental tug of war. Part of you wants to believe he's good, that he's on Dumbledore's side, but then he does something that makes you question everything.
It's enough to drive you mad. And then you have the mystery of the Half-Blood Prince, this incredibly talented potioneer who left all those helpful notes in Harry's textbook. We still don't know who this person is, but their presence looms large throughout the book.
Yeah, the Half-Blood Prince is like this phantom mentor, this unseen guide who's helping Harry hone his skills, even if he doesn't realize it.
Right. And it makes you wonder, who is this person? What's their connection to Harry? Are they friend or foe?
I'm telling you, J.K. Rowling is a master of suspense. She knows how to keep us guessing, how to sprinkle just enough clues to keep us theorizing and debating.
She's a genius, no doubt about it. And Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince is a prime example of her storytelling brilliance. The way she blends those personal dramas, the teenage angst, with the larger conflict, the looming war, it's just masterful.
Agreed. It's a book that makes you think, that challenges your perceptions, and that leaves you with more questions than answers.
Which, in a way, is the perfect setup for the final book, right? We're left on this cliffhanger, with Harry setting off on this incredibly dangerous mission, and we're desperate to know what happens next.
Oh, absolutely. Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince sets the stage for an epic showdown, and we, as readers, are strapped in for the ride.
So before we move on to the final book, let's take a step back and think about the overarching themes we've encountered in Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. What stands out to you? What are the big takeaways from this book?
Well, for me, it's the blurred lines between loyalty and betrayal. We see characters grappling with difficult choices, making decisions that have lasting consequences.
Yeah, like Draco, for example.
Oh.
He's clearly conflicted, torn between his family's expectations and his own conscience.
Right. And then you have Snape, whose actions are even more ambiguous. It makes you question the very nature of heroism, of what it means to be good or evil.
And amidst all that moral ambiguity, you have those constants, those themes that run through the entire series. The enduring power of love and friendship, the importance of fighting for what you believe in, even when the odds are stacked against you.
Those themes, they're universal, they resonate with everyone, regardless of age or background. It's what makes the Harry Potter books so timeless, so relatable.
Agreed. And it's those themes that ultimately give us hope, right? Even in the darkest of times, there's always the potential for love, for courage, for good to triumph over evil.
Absolutely. It's a message that we all need to hear, especially in times like these.
Now let's talk about that cliffhanger ending. Harry, fueled by grief and determination, sets off to find and destroy Voldemort's remaining Horcruxes. What challenges do you think he'll face? Who will be there to support him?
Ooh, that's a good question. I think we can expect more danger, more loss, more heartbreak. This is the final battle, the culmination of everything Harry has been through. It's not going to be easy.
No, it's definitely not going to be a walk in the park. But Harry's also grown so much since we first met him. He's stronger, more resourceful, and he has the unwavering support of his friends.
True, he's not alone in this fight. Ron and Hermione are by his side, and he has the memories and wisdom of Dumbledore to guide him.
But it's going to take more than just spells and potions to defeat Voldemort. It's going to take courage, sacrifice, and maybe even a little bit of luck.
Right. It's about believing in something bigger than yourself, about fighting for a better world, about never giving up hope, even when the darkness seems all-consuming.
That's the essence of Harry Potter, isn't it? It's about facing your fears, embracing your strengths, and fighting for what you believe in, no matter the cost.
Beautifully put, and I think that's what makes this series so enduring, so powerful. It reminds us that even ordinary people can do extraordinary things, that love can conquer hate, and that hope can bloom even in the darkest of times.
Well said. Now, I have to ask, after everything we've discussed, do you think Snape is a villain, a hero, or something in between?
That's the million-galleon question, isn't it? Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince leaves us on a knife's edge, forcing us to confront the complexities of Snape's character. We're given glimpses of his past, hints of his motivations, but ultimately, his true allegiance remains a mystery.
And I think that's what makes him such a fascinating character. We're left to ponder, to analyze, to come to our own conclusions. It's like J.K. Rowling is inviting us to participate in the story, to become detectives in our own right.
I love that. It's a reminder that the world isn't black and white, that people are complicated, and that even those who appear to be villains can have hidden depths.
It's a perfect example of how J.K. Rowling challenges us to think critically, to question our assumptions, and to never judge a book by its cover, or a potion master by his sneer.
Well said. And on that note, I think it's time to take a quick break. When we come back, we'll be diving into the final chapter of Harry's journey in Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows. The stakes are higher than ever, the battle lines are drawn, and we're about to witness the ultimate showdown between good and evil.
Okay, so we're back, and it's time to face the music right. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows, the final book, the ultimate showdown.
This is it, the culmination of everything. All the clues, the prophecies, the battles. It all leads to this.
And Harry's walking into it with, well, a lot of baggage. He's lost so much, he's seen so much darkness, and he's carrying the weight of the wizarding world on his shoulders.
It's a lot for one person to handle, but he's also learned so much, you know? Those pensive dives into Voldemort's past, they weren't just random history lessons.
No, they were like strategic intel.
Yeah.
Like, Dumbledore knew Harry needed to understand Voldemort, not just as a dark wizard, but as a person.
Exactly. To see his vulnerabilities, his fears, the events that shaped him, it all plays a part in the final battle.
It's like, to defeat a monster, you have to understand how the monster was created.
Right. And it's not just about strategy, it's about empathy, too. Seeing Voldemort's childhood, his loneliness, it adds another layer to the story.
It's tragic, really. Like, you almost feel sorry for him, for the boy he once was, but then you remember the atrocities he's committed, the lives he's destroyed, and that sympathy kind of evaporates.
Yeah, it's a complex mix of emotions, but it's important, I think, to acknowledge that even the darkest of villains were once innocent children. It reminds us that anyone is capable of both great good and great evil.
It's a good reminder that choices matter. that the path we choose defines who we become.
Absolutely. And speaking of choices, Harry's made his. He's chosen to fight, to face Voldemort head-on, even though it means risking everything.
And he's not doing it for glory or recognition. He's doing it because he knows it's the right thing to do.
He's doing it for his parents, for Sirius, for all those who have been lost to Voldemort's cruelty.
And for the future, right? For a world where kids can go to Hogwarts without fearing for their lives, where families don't have to live in hiding.
He's fighting for hope, for a better tomorrow.
And he's not alone in this fight. Ron and Hermione, they're right there with him, every step of the way.
Their loyalty is unwavering. They never doubt Harry, never question his decisions. They just support him, no matter what.
It's true friendship, ride or die. And you see that in other characters too, like Neville Longbottom, Luna Lovegood, even Professor McGonagall. They all step up. They all fight back.
It's a collective effort, a rebellion against tyranny. It shows that even in the darkest of times, there are those who refuse to give in, who choose to fight for what's right.
It's inspiring, really. It reminds us that we all have a role to play in the fight against evil, that even small acts of courage and kindness can make a difference.
And it ties back to that whole idea of love as a weapon against darkness. Voldemort, he doesn't understand love. He fears it, he rejects it, and that's ultimately his weakness.
Because love is what binds people together, it's what gives them strength, it's what fuels their courage. And Harry, he's surrounded by love, by the unwavering support of his friends and allies.
It's that love that sustains him, that gives him the strength to keep going, even when all hope seems lost.
Okay, so let's address the elephant in the room, or rather the potions master in the dungeon, Snape. Did we ever get a definitive answer about his true allegiance? Was he a good guy, a bad guy, or something in between?
Well, that's the beauty of J.K. Rowling's writing. She doesn't always give us easy answers. She leaves it up to us to interpret, to debate, to come to our own conclusions.
Which is frustrating, but also brilliant. It keeps the conversation going. It makes us think critically about the characters and their motivations.
And I think that's part of the reason why the Harry Potter books have had such a lasting impact. They're not just stories, they're springboards for discussion, for exploration, for personal growth.
I totally agree. Like even years after reading the books, we're still talking about them, still analyzing them, still finding new layers of meaning.
They're timeless, really. They speak to something deep within us, something universal about the human experience.
They remind us that even in a world of magic and wonder, the real battles are fought within ourselves, against our own fears and doubts and prejudices.
And that ultimately it's our choices that define who we are, not our abilities or our circumstances.
Well, I think that's a perfect note to end on. This has been an amazing journey, diving deep into Harry Potter and the Half-Blood Prince. We've uncovered hidden meanings, debated character motivations, and explored some pretty profound themes.
It's been a privilege to share this experience with you. And remember, the magic doesn't end here. Keep exploring, keep questioning, keep the spirit of Harry Potter alive in your hearts and minds.
Beautifully said. And to all our listeners, thank you for joining us on this deep dive. We'll see you next time for another adventure in the world of literature.